Looking at the slideshow, would there be a possibility of overloading of the system that resulting into technical fatigue of the collector and the third rail?
We really don't know what is the underlying cause of this. I mean, anything would be either theory or speculation. So I think better to just focus our efforts on one, doing the inspection, giving us a greater degree of assurance that the fleet is in order, put the trains back into service by 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then I am sure that the follow-on activities, investigations, as well as the contributions by the independent panel of experts will uncover some of this internal.
Do you think this effort is enough to restore public confidence for the system?
I think public confidence is going to be restored over a period of time. And when we continue to run operations and operate the trains without incident over a period of time, I think the public will regain confidence in the MRT system here. I think over the years, the train system had rightly acquired a very good reputation, both locally as well as internationally. And I think there have been more than one instance where international journals, international commentators have actually said very, very good things about the MRT system here, the reliability, quality of service, and so on. I think this recent series of incidents, plus other disruptions that have occurred over the last few months, I think would have impacted us somewhat, especially commuters that were most severely affected by the breakdowns. So I think the operators, and in particular SMRT, will have to work hard to restore service to the level that we expect it to be.
Regulatory action when something goes wrong.
This one I will have to defer to Chongqing or the experts because I really do not know enough about the regime that SMRT has in terms of inspecting these things. Okay, so I will ask them to answer specifically that point as to whether on an ongoing basis in terms of their maintenance regime they do these checks. But the point must be that having had these few incidents in short order that affects both collector shoes as well as the third rail, even if they have been doing this on an ongoing basis, and they will specify on this a little bit later, that it is necessary for us to make sure that we do a complete check of it, all right, so that any obvious fault that can be cited as a result, we can rectify it and prevent any incident that may be waiting to happen. Dr. Nam, Chongqing?
Maybe I can cover a bit about. Yes, both the third rail and the current collector shoes are subject to regular maintenance. For example, the shoes themselves, they'll be subject to wear and tear because they are rubbing against the third rail all the time. So usually as part of maintenance, they'll check whether there's enough carbon in the shoes to take the current, for example. Similarly on the third rail, because they'll be subject to wear. So these are inspections that are done as a part of SMRT's preventive regime. But whether they check, I don't think it is a matter of checking every day. But they will definitely be subject to a regular checking of the third rail on a planned basis. Okay. Now, as far as the third rail and the track itself, SMRT does have nightly patrol track walks. Okay, to check both the track and also the third rail. In addition, they also have machines. What we call the multi-function vehicles, etc., which are actually automating the process of checking alignment between the third rail and the track. So such equipment are available, and SMRT, I believe, are actually using this equipment regularly to inspect the condition of the rail and third rail on the existing lines. So yes, there are, but when something happens and something gets dislodged, it will then cause a disruption to the follow-on train. I think that's quite obvious because your structure is actually getting in the way of the trains. So as a result, as I mentioned earlier, the external contact is what we believe a possible cause of ripping off the conductor.
But the LTA is satisfied that SMRT is conducting these checks.
Okay, as part of the regulator role, maybe Big One want to say something?
Yes, I think as part of regulator, we make sure that they go through all the inspections, the maintenance schedule, and as far as at this current point of view, we are satisfied they have done so.
It may be that the independent panel of experts, when they go deeper into this, may have more to say on this subject. But at this point in time, I think we would have a higher degree of confidence and assurance if LTA were to partner SMRT, because we also need the full weight of the resources from both organizations to do this check.
So the fact that you need to come in, LTA needs to come in and provide some resources to do the check, does it mean that SMRT does not have enough manpower to do such regular checks?
I think we are trying to do all these checks within a very, very compressed time window, right? And ordinarily, I do not think that SMRT would, even under the planned maintenance regime, be doing all these checks over a window of about one night, 7-8 hours or so. So I think it is worthwhile to put in all the appropriate resources from both organizations to carry this out.
Minister, could this exercise be taken late Thursday night, this entire exercise?
I think that's a fair question, which is at what point do you do something like this, recognizing that there is some degree of inconvenience and cost to the commuter. On Thursday night, we did not know whether it was going to be an isolated incident or whether there were going to be a series of incidents that had some correlation with one another. Okay. Now that on Saturday morning we have seen that that is the case, then I think this is the appropriate juncture to do it, not later. And I dare say it was going to be difficult to say that we needed to do that 100% check. Because if on Thursday night, if indeed there had been several segments along the rail line that faced similar damage, affected more trains than those in that one particular location, perhaps so. All right? But now that we have seen a series of incidents happening in short order, I think it is a time to do so.
Can we just ask the bus bridging service, who will pay for the cost of it? Would it be LTA or would it be operators? And I think some people will also be wondering, since you're having free services for the North, South, East, West line, why not extend it to North East line or Circle line?
Okay, sorry, I haven't asked that question as to who will pay for it. I'm not so sure. We will, I'm sure, work this out with SMRT in due course. All right. This is in lieu of running revenue services along the North, South, East, West line. And I think it is necessary to provide such a service to commuters who are impacted by the extended shutdown of the train system. The parts that are not affected will continue to operate on revenue service as before.
Having, commuters being stuck in trains is obviously an emergency scenario that operators should be prepared for. I'm wondering, does LTA actually ensure these operators have sort of emergency readiness to ensure that these things don't, commuters are, don't have problems breathing, have to smash windows, things like that?
Indeed. There are SOPs in place. These are actually practiced in a number of the exercises that were conducted. Now, therefore, the question we need to ask is, are the SOPs adequate? Are the people adequately trained to carry them out in a sort of unscripted environment? Are exercises designed in a way that everybody knows exactly what is going to happen next so that they are prepped mentally and otherwise to respond to it accordingly? Does it mean, therefore, that we need to change the way we exercise so that there are more unscripted events that are thrown in so that people respond to a more real-time kind of environment? I think these are worthwhile questions to ponder over, and we certainly will look into it and see how we can improve on that. But as to your original point, whether there are indeed SOPs in place, they are, and we will look into the adequacy of this.
Do you feel that SMRT has fulfilled these SOPs in the last two incidents?
The first point I brought up when I first heard about this on Thursday in Cambodia, and the first point I raised when I got out of the airport and met some of you on Friday night was that this particular incident on Thursday, I felt that the well-being of commuters was compromised. It wasn't just inconveniencing people, right? The well-being was compromised, right? And hence, to me, the degree and the severity of the incident is of a different order altogether. It is not just of the 3 trains, it's not just because of the duration and so on. It is because of what happened in the tunnels itself. And we really need to work hard to improve on that part.
This is talking about SOPs. The LTA and SOPs to ensure that the 2 operators are actually talking to each other. For instance, 2 incidents, we have commuters traveling on the Nile line or to North-South line, only to realize the North-South line is broken down. So if the commuters, there's some public announcements to inform those on the Nile line or the Southern line, so that you can actually avoid or minimize the people traveling.
Indeed. Let me invite LTA to address
SOP to make sure that both operators keep themselves informed, and they also keep our, because we as an LTA, we also run the Land Transport Operations Center, which is a 24-hour center, and we also try to coordinate. Of course, these are SOP, but they must be also be timely updates so that everybody can be on the same page.
But there wasn't any public announcements on the Nile line itself?
In a sense that there was, but the SOP is there, but then we got to look into whether the people on the ground were complying to SOP. So that's the thing.
So is there any penalty for not complying to SOP?
We are looking at that, yeah. In a sense that, not all, what we understand is that there were announcements, but perhaps there were not as many as in the North, South, East, West line. And there were also announcements at interchanges as well. There were notices that was put up.
What are the penalties?
Penalties.
The penalties for not complying to the SOP of the operators?
Like I say, we have penalties.
I think LTA will have to get back to you on some of this.